welcome to the Friday edition of The Couch. My name is Pratt. It's a lovely Friday evening, and as always, I'm excited about this evening's show. So excited about this evening's show that I will not even say anything right now. I want us to go and watch this documentary. When we come back, I'll tell you about why I'm particularly interested in this specific interview and who my awesome guest for tonight is. Stay with us.
Grace Ayensu Dankwa, Maame Arabaya Teba was born in Esikado Ahinkro into Abrade Amanjina Ebusua of Esikado traditional area. She's the last born of the late Openyin Abba Eson, Janet Mensah, and the late Mr. J.H. Mensah of Edina Abrosieye. She started her primary education at Chapel Hill Preparatory School in Takrady, proceeded to Holy Child Secondary School in Cape Coast for ordinary levels and on to Archbishop Potter Girls Secondary School in Takrady for her advanced level education. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in biology at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles and a medical degree from the University of Wisconsin in Madison, both in the United States of America. She is an American board-certified surgeon trained in general surgery, trauma, burn, and reconstructive surgery. She also holds a master's in public health in international health management and planning with special certification in humanitarian assistance and disaster management from the prestigious Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland, in the United States of America. She holds a medical licenses in California and Maryland in the USA. She is licensed in Ghana by the Ghana Medical and Dental Council as a surgeon specialist and fellow of Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. She practiced medicine for several years in both California and Maryland in the USA. Grace Ayensu Dankwa is the founder and CEO of HANS Organization, an NGO dedicated to providing medical and surgical care to the poor and needy who have no access to proper health care, and also free medical supplies and equipment to clinics and hospitals in rural areas. She has organized several free medical and surgical outreach in Esikado Kitan constituency and also in Western region. She is a professor of global surgery at the University of Utah Medical School in the USA, Cape Coast University Medical School, and Ensign School of Public Health in Pune. She is a fellow of the American College of Surgeons and a fellow of Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. She is a member of the Ghana FDA Technical Advisory Team for Vaccines and Biological Products. She is the African Brand Ambassador and representative for Borghese Roma cosmetic line of skincare products. She is currently working as a humanitarian surgeon in various hospitals worldwide.
Back from that documentary. Welcome back from that documentary. I'm sure by now you know exactly who we are having a conversation with tonight. Dr. Grace Ayensu Dankwa, Professor. Hello.
Hello, Amma, how are you?
I'm well, Doc. I'm well. Yourself?
By His grace, I'm fine.
Right. It's always a pleasure to see you and interact with you and just, take you in.
Thank you very much. And the pleasure is all mine.
Right.
It's a pleasure to be here. I think that it's actually a privilege to be here. And thank you for giving me the opportunity.
How could I know it? How could I? I mean, seriously, we had met before, and before when I was doing the intro, I was going to explain the reason why it was important to me to do this interview. You know that Monday, 8th of March is International Women's Day. And presently, when I think about women who are getting it, I think of you.
Interesting.
I do. You're young, you're beautiful, you're educated, you have a banging profession, you've done politics, that's some hardcore stuff. And you are the loveliest person. Like, they'll get to know you very soon as the show goes on. But I think of, you know, women, young women who should be role models or an inspiration to young people. And immediately, you're one of the names that pops up in my... So absolutely, you have to be on this couch.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's tell me about what keeps you so lively. I want to know.
Well, thank you. First, what I try to do in life is not take myself too seriously.
Right.
But I'm also a very hard worker.
Right.
And so because of the hard work, there's a lot of stress involved with the hard work. So over the years, I've learned a lot of stress reduction activities. And I've also learned that I can only control the things I can control. So if it's not within my control, I'm not going to worry about it. And those are some of the things that keeps me going. For instance, I cannot control someone else's behavior. So if someone else acts differently towards me, there's nothing I can do except for I can only modify my behavior. So with that in mind, it keeps me going because then I don't have to worry about what other people do. And it makes me more lively and I don't take things too seriously. And I think that for almost everything I do, I have really thought about it and I also have a backup plan.
Right.
So nothing takes me by surprise, and meaning that I don't have to be depressed or sad about any situation because for every cloud there's a silver lining in there somewhere. And I always find that silver lining.
Absolutely. Now, your name, and I was asking you this before we came on air, your name is actually, and every time I've heard it, I've wondered, right? It's actually Professor Dr. Grace Hayinsadakwa. You are a professor.
That is correct. My medicine is a medical doctor, so I'm a medical doctor, like I'm a surgeon specialist. My license in Ghana is a surgeon specialist license. And I teach surgery at various universities. So I teach currently at the University of Utah School of Surgery, but it's more global health or global surgery. What global surgery is a new kind of surgical field that the American College of Surgeons or the rest of the world is developing. Basically, we have found out in the medical profession that there are a group of surgeons that we have to quickly develop that would have to go to rural areas. And once you get there, you have to be able to do everything. However, the education that we have now is an education of super specialization. For instance, myself, I am a surgeon, but I've gone up and specialized in just not only general surgery, but I've also done burn trauma and reconstructive surgery. So that is like super specialization. So that's all I can do in the US. But we realized quickly that there's a kind of surgeon that we have to have that might be the only surgeon in the rural areas where people don't have access to surgical care. And that person should be able to do general surgery, orthopedics, urology, gynecology, and all these other procedures, because if the woman is pregnant and she comes, you should be able to do a hysterectomy, or you should be able to deliver the baby by C-section. If somebody broke a leg and a bone, you have to be able to fix it in the area with no equipment, basically. So that is the new kind of field that the American College of Surgeons has started, and we are the pioneers of it. I am one of the pioneers of that whole field. So I've been sent out to come to, of course I'm from Ghana, so I chose to come to Ghana and be here and help set up this global surgery field, which is a brand new field in medicine and also in surgery. It's a very exciting field because that means that we will be the future surgeons who are going to take care of the needy, the people who don't have access to healthcare. There's about 2 billion people, we call them the bottom billion, who don't have access to surgical care or proper surgical care. So those are the people that we are targeting, and that is why the global surgery is very important globally. And when you talk about public health, everybody thinks public health is that you go to a primary care physician and they do high blood pressure checks and they check your blood sugars, diabetic check, and that is what primary health care means. But we have quickly also realized that primary health care means that the woman in the village who doesn't have access to proper surgical care when she was having a delivery. So most deliveries are uneventful.
Right.
The ones who die and the infant mortality and the maternal mortality are the ones who get in trouble while they were during the delivery. And we have realized that if there was a surgeon at the time accessible, available to that village, that woman perhaps would not have died and the child would not have died. So when you're looking at these numbers, global numbers, infant mortality, maternal mortality, and you're even looking at trauma, mortality from trauma, it was actually because they did not have a surgeon available.
Right.
And so that is all the data showed. And so we said this is almost maybe no more than 10 years old,
right.
And it's a really interesting field. It's growing. A lot of residents are interested. A lot of fellowships are coming up. We're doing a lot of research. So I teach at University of Utah Global Surgery. I teach at Ensign School of Public Health, which is in Pong, 30 minutes to Akosombo. And I also teach at the Cape Coast University Medical School as an adjunct faculty.
Impressive stuff. Just impressive. I'm just now listening to you. I'm soaking it all in. It all sounds so beautiful, like it's music to my ears and all of that. But you were born here.
Yes.
You schooled here to your, almost to your teenage, right?
Yes.
Teenage years.
Yes.
I want to hear about this. Tell me about home,
Okay.
Early childhood.
Excellent.
And then take me to Holy Child.
Okay. So I was born in Esikadu. My mother is him. My great-grandmother was the queen mother.
Right.
She was the matriarch of the family. So the name of the family is Esikadu Amanjina Ebradzi Ebusia. Is a traditional paramountcy. So there's 5 families involved, 5 traditional areas involved in the paramountcy.
Right.
One is in Ishem, one is in...
Would this be your grandmother?
That's my great-grandmother, Maame.
Right.
She was the matriarch of the family.
Right.
And she was the former queen mother and put all of us together and brought the whole family together. And of course, it's a matrilineal line.
Right.
So the women get to make the decision. So she was the big decision maker in the family.
Right.
And my mom was her first daughter's firstborn. So my mom was the first in line. Right. My dad was from Elmina, Edna. He's from Mount Pleasant. It's called Edna Abusini. The current post office is our family house, and we also have an old dilapidated house that used to, there's so many stories about it. The oral tradition tells us that my great-great-great-grandfather was the first Ghanaian to write a book. I haven't checked the veracity of it, but that's what we've heard.
Right.
His name was Africanus Mensah, and he wrote the book called Africanus Mensah and the New Church. He was a Methodist priest who then became reformed to Sweden. It's called Swedenborgen, which was a Swedish philosopher. And it's that whole story is interesting to me because I'm doing research on it now. And he wrote the first book, and then he moved to Nigeria and set up a whole new church in a place called Opobo in Nigeria. So my dad was actually born in Nigeria.
Right.
But from Elmina. He's a twin. He worked with Ghana Railways Corporation. He was an engineer, a mechanical engineer, and worked with Ghana Railways. And I was named after his aunt, Auntie Grace Ayensu. Auntie Grace Ayensu was one of Kwame Nkrumah's first women member of parliament for Central and Western region. She was a very dynamic woman, intelligent, dynamic, and from all indications, rich.
Right.
So at the time of independence or before independence, when Kwame Nkrumah CPP split from, I believe, UGCC, Kwame Nkrumah needed funding because he had all the ideas, smart guy, handsome, everything, but he needed funding. And he fell to these traders of the time, and they all came together and helped him financially. So they were basically his financial backbone, and they were very strong activist women. I believe Madame Sarah Lassan, who was the first woman in the northern region, also an MP. And all those women came together. And Auntie Grace was a dynamic woman, both central and western region. He's my father's aunt, and I was named after her. So I lived with her. while I was growing up. And very interesting woman, told me a lot of things. I was quite young, but I remember some of the things she told me, and the fact that I should really, number one, be hardworking and also be involved. I can never sit on the fence. So I'm from a family of very political activism, let's put it that way. Right. My dad was also a CPP young pioneer and actually represented the youth of the Western region on the traditional council. They used to call it municipal council, the city council. Right. They used to call it municipal council back then. So all these young pioneers, my dad's friends, they all would come to the house, and there was a lot of activity back then. And I went to Chapel Hill Preparatory School. We lived in Takrady. I went to Chapel Hill Preparatory School, then went on to Holy Child Secondary School. I finished Form 5. Then I went to Archbishop Potter Secondary School for 6th form. I did history, religion, and English literature for 6th form. 5. You didn't do science? I didn't do science. Really? Yes. So
you didn't have an interest in medicine at the time?
I had an interest. I did general science in Form 5, and that is one of the things that I feel like our education system can change a little bit, because we make the decisions as to what we want to do for the rest of our lives a little too early. Too early. Because I went to school very early, maybe 10, 11, I started Form 1. Right. Then by the time we're done in Form 5, I'm like 14, 15, right? And to make a decision for the rest of your life what you want to do at that age, I think is a little too early. We haven't decided, we haven't experienced enough to make those decisions. But that is how our education system has set up. If I was in Ghana, I could have never been a doctor or a surgeon.
After history and English literature,
yes,
there's no way you could have ended up being a doctor.
But luckily for me, as soon as I finished, I did my 1-year national service right here in Accra at Job 600, where the National Service Secretariat was at the time. And I worked actually in the National Service Secretariat office for my national service. When I finished, I went to the U.S. and I started undergraduate.
Hold on, Doc. You're running too fast for me. Hold on. Let's go back to Holy Child and Portis. What kind of a teenager were you?
I was smart.
Okay.
I talked a lot, obviously. I mean, that's what all my reports said. That's why I'm bringing it up. I was smart. I talked a lot.
Right.
I think I was an okay kid. I wasn't the most popular kid. I wasn't one of those kids. I was just a normal, average kid. Right. I had some good friends, and just basically, I wasn't into boys or anything at the time.
So who are
this is my family. Right. My sister-in-law is the one with the pearls. Her name is Milagros Mensah, my brother's wife. Okay. She's from Venezuela. And she's I love her already. She's the new matriarch of the family. Oh. Then the girl in the red next to her is my niece, Andrea, her daughter. And then my sister is next to me. My older sister, Charlotte, is the one in purple. And then her 2 kids, Marcia, and my other sister, Anna, who's not in the picture. That's her daughter, Esther. Esther is in London. Marcia is in Ghana. And Andrea is in America.
You are the one by...
I am the one next to Andrea.
Right. Oh.
Our sister-in-law she's the new matriarch of the family.
and this is you?
This is when I first went to New York. So after I finished 6th form, I went to New York.
Right.
Have you seen the shoulder pads?
It's not easy. I mean, you always in a fashionista.
I love fashion.
Listen, we can tell.
If I wasn't a doctor, I think I would be a fashionista.
I believe you, absolutely.
Not a designer, but a fashion buyer.
Wow.
This is my, I call it the famous 5.
Okay.
This is my siblings.
Okay.
So the lady to the left is my sister, my older sister, Victoria. She's a nurse in the United States.
Okay.
My brother, Africanus, who's my only brother and the real man in my life. And that's me to his right. My sister Charlotte is behind me with the all red beads. Right. And then Anna is my other sister, and she's the one next to Charlotte. And that's my siblings. There's 5 of us. 1 boy and 4 girls.
Wow.
And This is my ex-husband, Nana, my daughter, Kyla, and that's me in California.
Wow. If you don't mind my asking, how old is your daughter now?
She just turned 17 yesterday.
Wait, what?
17 going on 22.
You have a 17-year-old daughter.
I have a 17-year-old daughter.
Doc, have I been underestimating you in terms of how old you are?
She just turned 17 yesterday, and she is interesting, growing up well. She's the SRC president of her school, and she's taking up a lot of these women issues, and she's really dynamic, and I'm impressed with what she's doing.
Taking up some women issues.
Exactly. She ran for election, and it was a tie, and then they went for a second round, and she won for SRC against like 6 people. Aww. So she's interesting.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Excellent stuff, actually.
But the teenage years are interesting, so I'm just watching. It's like I'm watching a movie and loving it.
I can imagine.
So yes, her birthday was yesterday, and
wow,
life is good.
Very good, exceedingly good. Okay, so now you are done with your national service.
Yes.
What brought about the switch to the U.S.?
Okay.
Why did you migrate to the U.S. if I can?
So prior to that, I was supposed to go to Legon. I was going to do business administration. I already had my admissions and everything. And then my mom was a trader. So she goes to the U.S. and U.K. and buys foreign goods and brings them to Ghana, and then takes African goods like baskets and batik and woven things and shoes from Africa, not just Ghana, but Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, Conakry, and all those other West African countries, and even up to Senegal. And then she would take those to to either UK or the US, sell those goods, and then bring European goods back. So she was what we call now an importer.
Right.
And so she was also extremely dynamic and traveled a lot. And so she just got up one day, came to Accra and said, "You have to go to America. I'm going to America. Let's go." So I said, "I'm supposed to go to college in Lagos." She said, "No, we'll find you something." So at first from Ghana, I was supposed to go to Faraday College in Freetown, because we've lived in Freetown for a while. She lived in Freetown, and most of my vacations I would spend my time in Sierra Leone, in Freetown. And but then the Freetown thing didn't work out, and I ended up in America. I didn't even remember the details how I ended up there. But next thing I knew, I was in New York.
Right.
And New York is interesting, coming from Ghana. I was all, teenage girl. I'm feeling good about myself, and I go to New York, and I was like, is this it? But I quickly made good friends. I started off actually college at Pace University in New York. But as soon as I got there, I quickly realized that I had to work. Right. You couldn't stay home and be the teenage girl that I was in Ghana, work half day and go home. You really had to work. So as soon as I got there, my sisters were already there, and they were all nurses. So within like 2-3 weeks after I got there, I started taking some nursing classes, just so that I could work and pay my way out. Even though I was living with my uncle and my aunt, I had to pay something. So I did a course that I was a nurse's aide. And I got a really cushy job in Manhattan on 5th Avenue, Jewish family. They loved me, and the money was good. So I was working while I was in school. And then on the weekends, I'll even I'll go from school to her house on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then come back to school on Monday. My school was just by Gracie Mansion, which was the governor's house. And so it worked out perfectly. Then I lived in New York for about a year or two, but didn't really like Pace and didn't really like New York. So my other sister and cousin lived in California, and I moved to Los Angeles. And when I got to Los Angeles, I loved it. So
let me understand. Even at Pace University, you didn't do medicine?
No.
No science related?
No, I was doing accounting.
Okay. So at what point, Doc, did you say, listen, I want to be a doctor?
The good news about America is that when you start college, it's a 4-year program, your first degree, and you get to experiment in the first 2 years. That's the liberal arts type of education. So in the first 2 years, you're not required to declare any major. So you can try everything you want, and after 2 years, then you're required to declare that I'm going to major in this subject. So in my first 2 years, I had a lot of options to look around to see what I liked. And at that time, when I was in PACE, I took some biology and biochemistry classes, and I loved it. So I knew that the accounting thing, I wasn't sure about it, but I was only doing that because when I came back from Ghana, I didn't do science. And then I started taking more science classes. So then the next question was, what do I want to do with the science? I like it, but I don't know what I want to do. And then I said, okay, I'll go into medicine, because way back in the day, back in Ghana, I got burned. My aunt poured some hot water on me, and I was in the hospital for like 3 months with a burn. I have no scar. I don't even know. They did probably a really good job.
Very good job.
And so I had that in my mind, the doctors that helped me and all that stuff. So I knew that I wanted to do medicine, but I wasn't sure what type of medicine. So sometime after my first year and a half in college, taking real college classes, I decided I was going to go to medical school and finish it. However, even for my undergrad, because I did religion in Ghana, and I was very interested in religion, just Judeo-Christian religion, I minored in religion. So biochemistry or biology with a minor in religion.
How odd.
I know. But everything I've done is not straightforward. Everything I've done is not so straightforward. But I like that because I think that it makes me more versatile. I can talk about just about every topic, at least not, if not in depth, at least I know something about it and I've studied a little bit of it. So I think that it makes me more interesting. You know, the cookie cutter, all you know is science, all you know is arts. I think that kind of education for me, I had to give a speech, I think 2017 in Legon, the humanities program graduation, and that's what I talked about. I think that there has to be a little bit of flexibility in the education, especially because the time where we choose the path that we're going to have, it's too early. Most of us don't even know what it means to be a doctor. I didn't even know what that was all about. I just picked the classes that I was good in. I mean, I got good grades. Does that necessarily mean that those are the classes I liked? I don't know. But I think that at some point maybe we should consider the liberal arts education because it makes you more versatile and it makes you more of a problem solver than just somebody who crunches numbers or just reads and then memorizes and regurgitates what they just read. So,
okay, so it's in California that medicine actually started.
That is correct. The University of Southern California is where I went. And that's when I started the medicine. It was interesting. I had some good professors. I loved it. Then after that, I went to medical school. So that's a first degree, 4 years. Then I went to medical school in University of Wisconsin for 4 years. So that's the second degree. Then after that, I did a master's in public health for 2 years at Johns Hopkins, only because I knew that eventually I'll come to Ghana. And if I came to Ghana and I was a doctor, I didn't want to do the me and my patient one individual. I wanted to look at healthcare in Ghana from a policy standpoint and from a population standpoint. And I felt like my medicine was not giving me that. And a public health degree would be something that would actually open up that whole world and the field to me. So I took time off after medical school and went to the public health school before I came to do my surgery residence, which is also a little bit different because most people will finish and go straight into their residency programs. But I did my master's in public health and then came back to do my residency. It was a 5-year residency in general surgery. General surgery implies everything about the body, everything. So most people who want to do neurosurgery or other fields will finish general surgery and then super specialize in the other field. So 5 years of general surgery, then I did 2 years of fellowship. And the fellowship is a combination fellowship. It's mainly for the burn patients, but I did Because remember, when somebody gets burned, it's trauma. Initially, they're in the kitchen, something happens, the gas cooker blows up.
Right.
It's a trauma. So you have to do the trauma, which is the initial part, which is the trauma resuscitation. Make sure they have, they are breathing, they have good circulation, and there's no broken bone. You fix a broken bone. If there's any problems, you fix it. Then the second step is, what are you going to do with the skin? Because now they are burned 60%, 70%, 20% burn. Now what do? Then you treat the burn. Now after the person you've treated the trauma aspect, you've fixed the burn by doing like skin grafting and fixing the errors or the areas that are infected and getting the patient well to go home. That takes about another 2 months or so. By the time the patient goes home, most people, the skin that is burned will never be like the normal skin.
Right.
So then they have other complications. That is when they come in for reconstruction. And the reconstruction is trying to make them look like they were before. You cannot do it 100%, but it's a series of small operations that will get you to look, I don't want to use the word normal,
right,
because of course there's nothing called normal, but to look like you were before, pre-injury, right, pre-burn. So it's a series of cosmetic surgery procedures. So inside of that, some people, I learned, it's a cosmetic surgery field, but I looked at it from the trauma field because I just didn't want to be a cosmetic surgeon and just do aesthetic surgery, which is...
You are so passionate about this stuff. My goodness. You are so passionate about this stuff.
It's interesting.
So tell me about practice in the U.S. Young Ghanaian lady, now a surgeon, practicing in the U.S. How was that like? And here, perhaps you can chip in the bit about your lovely daughter, because at what point did she come in?
Yes.
And how were you able to balance? I hate that we ask women this question all the time, but it's a question, right?
But
it's a question.
So it was very tough. Black woman, I have an accent, and I'm not the biggest person in the room.
Right.
And of course, I make my point. I'm not the quiet person in the room either.
Right.
So it's not easy. It's not simple. It's actually very difficult. So as I was going through the system, I realized I was quickly becoming the only person in the room, the only black person in the room, or maybe the only female in the room. And as I kept rising higher and higher, people just keep dropping off, and you are the only one in the room.
Right.
And at some point, you feel like you have to represent the whole culture, the whole tribe. Now, am I African American or am I African? And then you morph between the two because you have to take up the whole African American issue. And racism in America is a big thing.
Right.
And in general surgery, or in surgery, most of the people you encounter are white males. 6 foot tall, blonde, blue eyes from Ohio.
It's true that they are good looking.
Absolutely.
They
are from Midwest, Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Nice guys, don't get me wrong. Those are my friends.
Right.
Those are the people I hang out with.
Right.
And you end up being the only person in the room who is black, but everyone else surrounding you is white and most likely male. Even if there's a female and she's white, there's another, just one of her and you. And so you quickly have to be able to be assertive, put your point across, but also not be, there's a tag, the angry black woman in the room.
Tell me about it.
So it's a really interesting balance. And if you don't balance it well, you get in trouble. And if you balance it well, you can cruise.
Right.
So for me, I quickly figured out how to really balance it. Residency is tough. It's one of the toughest programs. Surgery is the toughest program, I think, in America in terms of medicine, and especially general surgery.
Right.
It's grueling. I would go to work on Monday and not get out of the hospital till like Sunday.
What? The whole time
you're in the hospital.
For days?
For days, and you get out and you haven't seen the sun and you don't know where you parked your car, and you're a little bit disoriented because you've been indoors for a whole week, working. You have 200 patients going around doing this check. You have to know every number, even the labs, you have to memorize all the numbers in the lab for 10, 15 patients at a time, because they will ask you, so what is the blood sugar? And you can't sit there and go, let me think, maybe no. What is the blood sugar? It's 52. Is this? You have to be like on top of your game. And if you don't, they will look at you like, are you sure you want to be a surgeon? Because if you're not on top of your game and you're not stressed and they're not pushing you, that means you're not strong enough, you don't have the force, you are not a surgery type material, you don't have what it takes. So go and be a pediatrician or family practitioner, but don't come into surgery and be lazy and not know your numbers and be on top of your game and be as sharp as a knife. I mean, that is what surgeons are meant to be.
As sharp as a knife.
That is, I mean, it's a whole culture of we have to treat you really badly, brutal. The workload has to be so much, and you have to make it. And one of my friends always used to say, she's a Hispanic girl, she said, it's like you don't know how to swim. And somebody ties a brick on your legs and pushes you at the deep end of the pool. Hopefully, if you're lucky and you're strong enough, you will float and you won't sink. That is what it's almost, and we used to say that it's almost as if we went to jail.
Yeah.
So if you're lucky and you come out 5 years after that out of jail, then you are one of the lucky few, because as you kept going, a lot of people will be falling off. They will be peeled off because the stress, the family issues, the workload itself, the mental ability. So by the time you come out, you're as tough as nail.
And you managed a family and a baby in all of this?
I was married maybe after I left New York. I met my ex-husband. I got married. Very nice guy. We managed. I had a baby, I think, in my third year, my first time in my third year. And my resident director calls me to the room. He's Indian, Dr. Mittal. Calls me to the room and says, I have to talk to you. And I'm like, but this is the time where I'm going to be kicked out of this program, right? So he sits me down and says, well, he has this big voice. Well, Dr. Ajansu Danko, I have heard that you are pregnant. And I'm thinking, okay, now what next? Do you know you're the only person who has been pregnant in this program? I'm like, okay, yeah, now what next? Do you want to be a surgeon or you want to have babies? You want to be a surgeon or you want to have babies? And I was thinking, okay, how do I answer this question? Should I be honest with him or should I just, kind of... But then the issue was, so I said, Dr. Mittal, I understand, your predicament right now, which is, if I, as a resident, and I was at third year, so I was entering my senior year, it's a 5-year program, so I've done 3 years already. I can understand your predicament. In other words, if I drop out of the program, then someone else has to do more work. Because I'm pregnant, someone has to do more work. So I can assure you, you have nothing to worry about. I'll do all the work. I won't even take no maternity, anything. I will stay here, I'll do all the work. Just give me a few days to go and have my baby and come back. He says, are you sure you can do that? I said, Dr. Mittal, come on, I got your back.
No, wait, and when you were making this promise, did you have any intention of keeping this promise?
I did. You have to keep your word.
No, because pregnancy is unpredictable sometimes.
Unless something bad happens.
Right.
But as long as I was healthy and I could do the job, I didn't want, and it was true that if I took time off to go and do pregnancy things or maternity-related things,
I can't believe you just said pregnancy things.
Yes, maternity-related things. Then what will happen is someone else will have to take up my workload.
Right.
And like I told you, we were doing 80 hours a week.
Wow. So you managed all of that workload with the pregnancy?
With the pregnancy, full term, I mean, I took 4 days off to go and have my baby, have a C-section and come back.
4 days?
4 days. Then I was like walking in the hospital. I couldn't stand up straight because the incision was so fresh. So I couldn't stand up straight. So I was bent over the whole time, but you had to do the work because that meant that someone else had to be stressed and didn't have to. And I was the first person who had a baby ever in the life of that program. The program had been going on for years, and no one had dared had a baby. Or
if you don't mind my asking at this point, how old are you?
Oh, I'm like early 30s.
My goodness.
And I had to do it, and I had to make sure that if I could do it, then other girls who were coming behind me could do it. And I had to show him that it's not that bad. I mean, as much as I was suffering, I had to prove a point. Because otherwise, if I hadn't done it, then the other residents coming behind me, and at this point, I think the class after my class in medical school was the first class in the history of the school over 50 years or so, where there were more women, at least, of course, one more women than men in that class. So I knew that there were more women coming behind me, and so I had to set the pace and let
show that it's possible,
and let these, men who are manning the programs, all the residency programs, all the chief residents, they're all white males. So I really had to prove a point. And so if I had to suffer through to let the other ones come through and know that you can have babies. Because what happens invariably is that the women, because we couldn't do that, will end up finishing the program and finishing our surgical whatever, get to the top and not have any children.
Right.
But the men, the girls, their wives are at home. So by the time, every day they'll come, oh, my wife is pregnant and we have a new baby. So by the time they get to 5th year, they have 3 and 4 kids. And the women have nothing.
Man.
So most of the women I work with, I would say about 99% of the women I work with have no children. And those of us who do is just one child. If you're lucky, one woman will have 2. But in general, the programs are so grueling and so much work and just so stressful that you don't even, if you want to be a surgeon, you cannot mix surgeon and babies. That's what they would tell you.
Wow. Wow.
Pick one. So then he says, are you sure you want to do that? I say, yeah, Dr. Mittal, I will do it. But in any case, I'm from Africa. Right? My mom is calling me every day. My mom is calling me every day. So she calls me at like 5 a.m. from Ghana, right? Says, oh, how are you? I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I used to call her sister. Sister, I'm fine. How are you? I've missed you. Then she says, oh, do you know Mrs. Such and Such's daughter, right? I'm like, let me guess, she had triplets. I said, let me guess, did she have triplets or twins? Then my mom will start laughing. No, I'm just saying she had a baby. I'm like, oh, okay. And this is like constantly, every day. So she's prompting me that as an African woman, I should have a baby. You know how our parents are.
Right.
And she's worried about me at this point. So I told Dr. Mittal, right now I have 2 options. Either you believe what I just told you, that I will work and not take time off and not disrupt your program, or you kick me out of the program.
Oh dear.
And if you do, I will still be better off because I have to keep this baby and I have to have this baby because my mom will be worse than you. So I have to pick between
the devil and the deep
blue sea. And I'm telling you, I will pick my mom's devil because this devil is like the rest of my life devil. Dr. Mittal is a temporary devil.
Right.
And if I don't become a surgeon, of course it's not the end of my world.
Right.
I do want to become a surgeon, but it's not the end of the world.
Right.
I'm sure I would have found something else to do. So he looks at me and starts laughing. It's like, you are so funny. I'm like, what did I just say? I'm only seriously telling you the truth of my situation right now. So just let me go back, have my baby.
Kill me or my mom kills me.
No, but if he kills me, it's not the end. I probably will be resurrected. If my mom kills me, I'm dead forever. I can't, it's like the final one. So I said, Dr. Mita, honestly, seriously, I'm an African woman. If I
Right.
don't have this child, it has a lot of implications.
Right.
And so if you will allow me to just carry my pregnancy through, I will not disrupt your program.
Right.
I'll do whatever it takes. I mean, I'll do extra work if I have to. And I won't take too much time off. So even my C-section was scheduled, baby out, incision, come back to work 4 days later.
Right.
Fresh incision, can't walk. I can't stand up straight, but I'm still doing all the work. We're getting to the hospital by 4 a.m.
Oh dear.
Running around.
Dear,
And it was painful, but
you are a tough woman. You are a tough woman. Now I understand the politics. Now I understand how you were able to do that. First of all, I'm calling for this video. I want you to watch this video, right? And viewers, I really need you to pay attention to this video. When we come back, I'll tell you the story behind this video. So let's watch this video of Doc dancing during the campaign. That's election 2020. We'll come back and talk about that for a minute. Welcome back from that video. Now, this happened in Takrady. I was there. I was there. In Sikado. I was there. We had come to a Sikado, and I had seen Doc in action. That's true. Because we had met before that trip.
Yes.
And I'd experienced you before, but I hadn't had the chance because the day you came here, you were, pretty, so I hadn't really. But on that trip, I got to see a whole different person. So lively. You were so concerned about the team, forcing us with food. I remember you making me eat fufu, taking care of everybody. And then at the same time, at every point, there you were, just dancing, shouting, even in consistencies that were not yours. Like, we'd go to another consistency, and there she is. I'm like, wait, this woman. And you're just dancing and happy throughout the campaign. Now, let me, perhaps for those who don't know, you actually contested for Isikado constituency in Takrady.
Yes.
Okay, so surgeon, professor, doctor, Ghana, lecturing in universities, this busy. At what point did you think, let me add on politics? Let me complicate my life further by adding on politics to this already very stressful existence?
Thank you. But, I've told you my history and the kinds of women. I'm from a family of strong women and of political activism, from Auntie Grace to my dad to my mom, working when women were not even allowed to work, and even traveling. You remember back then they used to travel by ship.
Right.
And it would be 3 months on the vessel before you even got to Europe.
Right.
And my mom was doing that before Ghanaian women were even out there doing that kind of thing. So I'm from a tradition of very strong women and political activism. The issue is that when you have acquired, if you're lucky or blessed enough to acquire all this education, family background, my own personal achievement, the best way is to give back and to contribute to make a difference in the society where you're from. I'm from Iskadu constituency. That is my traditional home. I was born in Ahinkro and the Royal Palace. It is my responsibility to give something back to my community. No one else would do it. In Fanti, we have a proverb that says, "Wazayi nawaranaye." So you have to do it. Who else should do the work? So all along, I knew that I've always wanted to contribute back. I brought my the physicians that I work with since 2010. Every year we will come to Iskadu and do free operations. I have an NGO that supplies medical supplies and equipment free. I've given some to most hospitals, 37, Kolibu, Cape Coast Hospital, Achimota Hospital, some hospitals in the Volta region, some hospitals in the eastern region. I just do all these philanthropic work for free. But at some point when I kept going back to Isikadu, especially Isikadu, which is where I'm from, I just realized that the depravity, we are deprived of a lot of things. Our health system, our education, our infrastructure, our water and sanitation. And every time I went back, it was worse than the last time I was there. And so I knew that if someone was going to do it, they had to take somebody like me, at least with the ability and maybe the financial ability to do this work, because of course it's going to be expensive, but someone has to do it. Right. And it has to be one of us coming from the family that will step up and take up that role. And I knew that if I did it, I can do it and bring something back to the people. I can help with health. I can help with the educational system. I can give back. These are some of the videos of my my group coming from the States. We do this every year. We started since 2012. Every year we come, we see, the idea is to bring healthcare. Remember, the global health is to bring healthcare to the people, so that the people who don't have access will have access, but not for them to travel into the hospitals, because it takes money and it takes for transportation. If you bring the healthcare to the people, I think that will make a difference, especially in areas like Africa or Ghana, where our rural areas are far from the hospital or the town centers where the hospitals are situated. Somebody from Ahanta Basan, which is one of my village, coming to Efiankwanta, they have to take about 3 cars, trot different levels. That's all money. When they get to the hospital and they have to stay over, the relative has to stay over. Somebody has to be admitted. Somebody has to stay over. Where do they stay? What do they eat? Where do they, use the sanitary issues in terms of water and sanitation, using toilets? How do these people survive? So if we bring the healthcare to them, it would eliminate all that money for transportation, the place to sleep, the place to drink, water, to, toilet facilities, all that stuff. And when you're in your own environment, you tend to be healthier than when you're out of your environment. So those are some of the reasons why I decided that this is the role I'm going to play within my community and help. And then I realized that we've also had an MP for 16 years who is really non-performing.
Yes.
But this issue
just went for the Giants.
Yeah.
Like, let me look around. Where's the Giants? Okay, let me go there.
This issue, yes, I knew it was a David and Goliath fight from day one. And I knew that he had been there for 16 years and he hasn't really had any challenger. At one point, he called me the weakest candidate, and as a woman in Ghana politics, you know what you have to go through. At one point, I wasn't even a surgeon, and because I'm not registered with Ghana Medical Association, when the licensing agency in Ghana is Ghana Medical and Dental Council. You understand? Right. But they use it to belittle you, to make you small, to make you look like you're not intelligent, and then the insults, you're either a witch or a prostitute, or, all these things, and it's just a way to belittle women and make us feel like we don't have the ability to do the work. And I know for sure that I can do the work 10 times better than him. You understand? So whatever he was doing and all, he's not him, but he has his surrogates who are out there belittling you. We had a debate and he didn't even come, because I guess it was like, why should I even debate this girl? She's and then the small girl thing, so it's a lot of sexism, and a lot of, what's the word, just insults for women.
Right.
But at some point, you know, you have to have thick skin, of course, if you're a woman and you want to go into Ghana politics. But it should rub off of you. Right. Because for me, my goal was not even to be in Accra in Parliament. My goal is what I can do for the people of Iskadu-Kitan constituency. So for every town that I went, I figured out what is the needs of the community. What are the needs of these towns? And I categorized it. And I knew that the number one issue, I will go and deal with it in this town. The second issue is this, I will deal with it. Jobs were the biggest problem. I set up a taxi service. I employed people. I matriculated people into hairdressing, nail technician, right. Seamstressing, tailoring. I did all kinds of things to bring the youth, because youth unemployment is one of our biggest problems in our community. The women, when I met the women, they said they needed loans. So I set up a loan scheme system that would give small scale loans, but give them enough to be able to buy the next consignment of goods. And even still, as we speak, it's still continuing. I haven't stopped. The communities that needed water, I tried to provide water. The communities that needed taxi stations or proper shed for taxis, I did. The beach communities, I tried to give everybody something. And I wasn't doing it really because of politics. I was doing it because these people needed. This is where I'm from. If I do this job well, it's only going to benefit me and maybe my great grandchildren, or will come back and say, your grandmother or your great-grandmother did this work. Right. And I knew that my great-grandmother, the one whose picture you showed, has done it. Right. And I knew that Auntie Grace Ayensu has done it. So if they have done it, I mean, who am I? So I should be able to do it without even blinking.
See, Doc, watching you interact with the people and watching you campaign, watching that process with you was humbling. You know, in a sense, because here you were, professor, doctor, you know, you're a surgeon, all of these things that could keep you bougie. And sometimes there's a need to project a certain image. You know, I'm from America, I'm a surgeon in America, you know, and so you could have conducted yourself or your campaign in a certain way. But I hope that people saw the video that I played, because that was you throughout. You know, and just what it was interesting watching you. Like, I would just sit back and watch you like, wow, right? Just, if there's another word for down to earth or another expression for down to earth, I would use it, but I can't find one. You were just so accessible. That's the right word. So accessible to the people, constantly with them, in tune with them. I saw you give up your car. I saw you. You didn't see me see you do that. But I was watching you. You just at one point just gave your car, because you're a driver, and you know they took it away, other people sat in it, and you came to perch with us in our car. And I was just watching you the whole time, like, this woman, yo. Are you like that, or have you had to learn to be, because I think it's awesome for politics, for being such a people's person, being so accessible. Is that who you are, or is it learned, is it acquired?
Yes. Of course, you know, I'm new to politics, so I couldn't have taken 2 years. I even started politics late. I made the decision to get into politics only in September of 2019. So my decision was in August, and I got my nomination and everything in September. So this whole politics thing was less than a year and a half for me. But I was already there. I mean, I was already down to earth, and I was already with my community. I even go to fancy dress, right? For years, I would get my whole outfit and be dressed up and dance the whole time from Iskadu to Secondary. Sometimes we'll walk to Takrak. I mean, nobody knows I'm in the suit, but I'm there. And I have some friends, one of my Catholic priest foundation, he's also in we know what each other's masks. So we know who we are, but the rest of the people don't know who we are. And we'll dance the whole time because it's part of my culture. That is my hometown. That is where I grew up. I am part of the people. If they do well, I do well. If I do well, they should do well. So for me, it was actually a fun thing. I know most people talk about politics and it looks like you have to pretend, or it looks like work. For me, 2020 was actually my best year, even though, of course, at the end of the process, someone else claims they have the seat.
They won.
They won. But regardless of that, I think that I have succeeded even beyond expectations. Because like you said, a lot of people expected something different. But I can only be myself, you know. And I hope that being myself, a lot of people saw it. And it's true, the people who saw me campaign, the people in Eskaduket, and I'm not talking about just MDC people, I'm talking about NDC, MPP, MCPP people. They realized that, oh, this woman can really do the job. We have been with this person for 16 years. We are not really seeing much change. And we know that if we give this woman a mandate for 4 years, she can actually transform the constituency. And I kid you not, if I had this constituency in the next 4 years, I would have transformed the constituency.
You did amazingly well. I saw the polls before. Of course, we discussed it here too. And all of course, David and Goliath, this man is, you know, and you were new, you were young,
yes.
you're a woman, all of that. The odds pretty much were against you. And so to see the results that came in, for me, you did amazingly well. And here's the thing. Are you going back?
I don't know yet.
No, you don't have an option. You are going back. That's what the answer I wanted to hear.
No, I'm not too sure. Only because there's a lot of things I want to do now. And so when it's time, maybe next 3 years or so, I will think about it. But as I speak right now, I have so many things going on. My university is doing a big program, minimally invasive procedures. You know, Ghana, every operation is open. Now we're trying to use cameras to do it, and I'm the one who's responsible for Ghana to teach both at the VRA and at the Cape Coast Hospital. And there's a lot of programs. I'm setting up the best dialysis center in Accra as we speak, coming up hopefully the next 2 months. I'm a venture capitalist, a businesswoman, a surgeon, all wrapped in one. So there's so much on my plate right now that I can't even make the decision. However, I do know though for sure that all the programs that I'm doing in my constituency, I'm not going to stop. So some of the things that I've still listed as the needs of the individual communities, I will continue to provide for them. As we speak right now, the hospital is we have one big hospital, general hospital in the whole constituency. There's smaller hospitals and there are some private ones. But the government hospital is the Esikado hospital. When you get out of hospital pharmacies, they don't stock a lot of drugs. So after that, when they give you a prescription, it's not stocked in the hospital, you have to go out and buy it. The closest place from the hospital is a Kojokrom, or you have to go to Takrady or Secondary. Yes, it's my hometown and it's in my constituency.
Yeah. I love the name, Kojokrom.
So you either have to go to Kojokrom or you have to go to Takrady. The person who at the pharmacy in town is a licensed drug dealer who only sells over-the-counter medicines. So we need a proper pharmacy. And as we speak today, I'm building the pharmacy. And hopefully in the next 3-4 months, I'll be finished. The elderly, the bedridden, and those above about 75 or 80 will get free medicines. I'll build it into the system so that we give them free medicines. And we also provide home health care. In other words, for the bedridden especially, those who can't come out, once a month we send a team to see them and check their medicines and make sure they're okay. These are all things that I'm doing for my community, not because of politics or anything. So the work that I'm doing, I believe will not change, or I know it's not going to change. I'm continuing from where I left off, and even now I have more insight into the proper needs of the community because I have really done my homework and I've done the research. So when I go to town A, I know that this is the one thing this town needs that if I do will change or transform this town. Those are some of the projects I have to do. But of course, it's all about money. Absolutely. So I have to work hard, make money, and do these projects
as well. I want to bring in the viewers at this point, if you'd permit me. Juliana Belinda Obri says, February Bonds, we rock. Juliana comes back, she says, so proud of you, Dr. Grace Ayensu. Mas Babatu says, wow, and she gives you the fair eyes. Nicolas Laguda says, I am really enjoying this interaction. and her life journey very interesting, intriguing, and inspiring. You are really blessed to be able to go through all this and to look so calm as well. It is indeed grace. Michael Eshon says, we really love you, especially Isikado Keten constituency. Baz Babatu says, very interesting. Mavis Dumepo says, wow, days with C-session, strong woman. She gives you the, 4 days, very interesting. Very joyful, sister. You have no idea, trust me. and Mavis comes back to say beauty with a brain. Okay, Doc. So we have a few minutes to go, right? We have a few minutes to go, but we cannot, in the month of February, have a conversation like this. In the month of love, about such a lovely, wonderful, awesome woman, and not talk about love. Doc.
Yes.
Indulge me.
Oh.
Give me small filler.
Small filler.
What's happening in the love part?
In the love compartment, I'm very good. I mean, my cup is full.
Let's talk.
It's wonderful. I have a good relationship. It's exciting. It's interesting. I love him. I love him, but my ex-husband is also a good friend.
Right.
His children come to my house. My child goes to his house.
Right.
He's married now with 2 kids.
Right.
Lovely woman. We do the whole kumbaya family thing.
Right.
It's beautiful. She's a really nice woman. Life is good. The kids are happy. Her kids come to my house. They can stay overnight. My kids go to our house. They can stay overnight. So the kids have 2 mommies in that sense.
Wow. Wow.
We're all happy. Relatively happy, let's put it that way. Because it's usually about the kids. It's not even about the adults in the room. It's about the kids.
Right.
And hopefully the relationship is good enough that the kids can know that they're siblings, and then life can go on for them, and they can have a normal, happy life like I did when I was growing up, even though my parents were not divorced. But in general, though, my current love life is awesome. It's February.
Do you know why I had to bring that in? Because you know that you have a lot of admirers, right? Doc, you know that.
No, I don't.
When I put up the flyer, I can mention names, including my own husband. It's ridiculous. Like, you have admirers. People are just like, oh, Doc, she's my taste. She's my spec. So, I had to ask this question so people will know that.
Oh, I'm good.
You're good.
I'm really good.
You're good.
I'm great. It's the month of February.
Let me read more of the messages, that have come on WhatsApp. This one says, good evening. We are blessed to be part of this convo. She's a legend, a woman that we are to set as a role model. We thank you so much for your contribution to this nation. His name is Ohini Ibrahim inside Wager. This one says, good evening, I'm a Pratt. My greetings to the MP for Isikado Keten constituency. She's not the MP. She's nearly the MP.
I am the MP by default.
Yes, she said she's the MP by default. There you go. She won the election.
I did.
And Jogati and Anado stole her victory, right? God willing, she will be MP before 2024. A great woman. NDC really has the women. Good evening. His name is Efokin in Axim. This one says, in fact, this is a woman of substance. I wish she would contribute in the already diverse ways and leave that political part. His name is Josh Takrade. This one says, I'm Hamza, watching you live from Wa. Doctor, you are so humble. This one says, good evening, Amma. I am so happy enjoying this program. Right. Okay. So lots of other messages, but okay, here's what. Doc, you've been through it. You've been through the politics. You've come out stronger than ever. We love you, myself included. We just love you. What advice would you have for a young lady watching us right now? Because this time, a lot of young ladies are venturing in. That makes me very happy. But I think that sometimes they don't have the full picture. You've gone through it. You've come out. At times, a little limited, but still. What would you say to a young lady watching you right now who's thinking, I feel inspired. I want to go into politics too.
I have a lot of mentees.
Right.
And the only advice I'll give is that first you have to have tough skin. You cannot be too sensitive to everything. You have to have your own stress reduction mechanisms that you use so that you don't get stressed. You always have to have a plan B. Then the more important things, you have to have mentors, because you are going to go through, it's a roller coaster ride, and you're going to have ups and downs, and it's brutal for women. I mean, as much as I'm making it sound like it's not a big deal, it is a big deal. But I'm only saying it's not a big deal because of how I have dealt with it. So the more interesting thing is that you need to have mentors that you can talk to. And you need to have, as you're going through your life, when you see people of influence that you think, oh, this person knows something, don't feel shy to ask the person to be your mentor. And if the person is a male, which most often is going to end up being a male, just make sure that you don't bridge that gap and deviate from your goal, which is this person is my mentor and no other activity. Because once you bridge the gap, then the whole mentor thing is gone. So just stick to your guns, find good people. As you're going through life, you meet people in all walks of life. And if you feel that the person has something to contribute to your life, go up to the person and ask, you know what, I've seen that you're doing this and this. It's very interesting to me. I don't know anything about it. Can you be my mentor? Once it's a male and becomes your mentor, keep the mentorship, because it will go a long way rather than if you have a relationship with the person. I mean a sexual relationship with the person. Right. Once you have the sexual relationship, now, and something happens, now you have lost a person who could have been a mentor for you for a longer time. And of course, relationships have expiration dates. Some of them have expiration dates. So just be careful. But be tough, be who you are. Don't try to pretend, and don't try to please everybody. Not everybody's going to like you. And it's just part of it. But as long as you are yourself and you stick to your guns, and in everything you do, I think that don't go in it for money or for property or for anything. What you should do, though, is when you go in and you're going to help, maybe the money will follow later. But that shouldn't be the goal, because once that is the goal, you lose. You've lost it. You've lost it, or you lose track of what is important in life. You understand? Family, giving back is, I believe, is way more important than actually the end result, which is the financial. So right now, I told you I'm trying to make some money in the next 4 years. Right. So I'm doing this project. I'm being a venture capitalist. I'm putting some of my funding into different projects all over, not just here, but in America and the UK and all kinds of things. The issue is that I'm making that money not because now I want to buy more stuff. You understand? I'm making it so that I can have enough to go and help my people. And if I give that money back, it comes back to you one way or the other. If it's not money back, it comes back as blessing. It comes back as, because it's not for anything I have personally done in my life that has put me here. I don't see that I'm some extraordinary, I'm not some big Bible thumping Christian. I'm not any of those things. But I feel like I've been blessed only because of the work that I have given back. If you look at my constituency right now, let's say that I started my NGO in 2012 to 2020. If every year I saw 5,000 people, which is what I've done, and I've done about 500 operations every year, times how many years? 8 years now almost, times 5,000 plus. Those are the people I've helped that I don't know. You understand? If every one of them went home and said, oh Lord, thank you for this doctor, I don't know her, that's extra blessings that I'm getting. So I feel like it's the work that I've done that is giving me this opportunity and this blessing. And also my politics, I think, if you want to go into politics, my politics is not extreme. I'm not extremely one here and extremely here. I feel like we can bring people together in the middle and change minds. Women, I think, when we come into politics, we should be agents of change. We should really look at corruption, we should look at transparency, we should look at accountability, we should look at probity and accountability, and we should look at equity. Right. Equity meaning how we distribute the resources of the country to benefit the majority of the people. Yeah. Because we are only a country of 30 million people, right? 30 something maximum. We haven't done the 6th population census or the 10th one, right? Or the 6th one. We should have done it last year, but we didn't. And if we do, maybe we'll know the number, but I'm estimating about 35,000 maximum. 35,000 with all the resources. We have gold, we have diamond, we have bauxite, we have an ocean front. I mean, for all the activity we can use the ocean for. We have a wide ocean front. I heard we've discovered lithium. Yeah. We have oil, we have natural gas, we have arable land. If you take a pawpaw and you eat and you put the seed down, tomorrow you come and there's a pawpaw tree standing there. So we are so blessed and so lucky. However, the majority of our population is suffering. Why is that? It's because we have not equitably distributed the resources of the country. If we manage this country well, only 30 million people, Nigerians are 200 and something million. Ghana is only 30 million. We should be able to take care of 30 million people with all of our resources and have extra to donate to other countries. So our problem in Ghana, I think, is management. Is a leadership crisis, I keep calling it. We have a serious leadership crisis. It looks like there's a lot of selfishness, there's no accountability. You see what is happening in the vetting in Parliament. And sometimes I'm just sitting there and my mouth, like a fly, would fly right into my mouth. Because his gate opened, I'm thinking, really? Like, are these the people really, seriously, in this country, even within the NPP party, seriously? There's no one. Are these the people that really should manage the country? If this was a corporation and the president was the CEO and he was looking for people to work in his own company, in this company, are these the best choices that he could make, even within his party? I'm sure there's plenty of people who are more qualified within his own party to take some of these jobs. So it tells you that there's a big leadership crisis, because even when we are appointing the agency heads, right, let's say it's a company, I own it. I want the company to do well. I want finance to be tipped up because I want to know my profits. I want the engineering department to do the best because I want the machines spick and span. I want them to be working. I want the production line to keep going. And I'm picking heads of these departments. Are these really the people that I can?
That's the multi-million-dollar question. Let me read a few and then you're out of here. Time is up. She's an amazing and inspiring woman, the definition of beauty with brains. I pray that God gives her strength to help the path she's on to help people. His mom says hi, I think. Please, I'm Michael from Pokwasi. Please give me her personal number. Hey, boss. Okay. Okay. Doctor, you are okay, right? I'll tell her that one too. Charlie, she just told you she's good, right? I just like this great professor. NDC truly has quality women, human resources. God bless her. His name is Henry in Aguna Street. You are amazing.
Thank you.
You are an inspiration.
Thank you.
Please keep going. And I will torment your life until you contest again, because we will not allow you to not contest. You have to keep going.
I'll still contribute to it. Of course, you know I'm not a wallflower, and I'm still contributing. And our president asked us to be citizens, not spectators. So I'm definitely a citizen. Thank you. I have an opinion on every topic, and if I do, I will bring it up and I will speak up. And just for the national discourse, so that we can start thinking the right way and picking the right people for the right job, and the corruption should come down and Ghanaians should really benefit. The fact that people in my constituency, some of them don't even have drinking water. The toilet facilities, the public toilets, you stand in line, you get there, they give you a newspaper, you pay 50 pesos, they give you a newspaper, you get there, you can't even walk through that facility. You understand? So why? I mean, with our resources in this country, if we had proper leadership, these issues should have been
a thing of the past.
Thing of the past.
Thank you.
Moving on. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for having me.
Anytime.
And thank you to your audience. And God bless everybody. Happy New Year. Of course, it's February. Happy New Year. International Women's Day is coming
Absolutely.
up, and we're all excited about it because, of course, we're all women advocates,
Right.
women supporting
Right.
women. But I believe that when women take up important roles, we should be agents of change.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I am about to leave, but don't forget that today is the premiere, the first edition of the KSM show here on Pan-African TV. So as soon as I'm out of here, do not move. Do not move a muscle. Don't move any part of your body. Just stay glued, relax. KSM is happiness in his first, show since he was off for just a bit, premiering right here at Pan-African TV. So you watch him today. If it's so enjoyable, watch him again Sunday 2 p.m. That means that Talk Time has moved from Friday to Saturday. So you can catch Talk Time with Chrissy Pratt 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. Replayed Sunday evening 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Pan African TV, this is where it's at. Dot, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
We love you. We love you. We love you. Have a lovely evening. See you next week. Bye.
Do you know that in Ghana, an average 70 cars are snatched every quarter?
Hello, babe. What? Your car snatched? Don't worry, Jetty K GPS got us covered.
Vehicle GPS tracker technology can provide information on the exact location of your vehicle at all times on your phone. Count on Jatike for all your security needs: CCTV, biometric attendance and access control, home and vehicle.
Truly African.
Live from the Cactus Creek at Ibri, he is the king of prime time, Ghana's undisputed entertainment laureate, and still the youngest old man in Ghana. Put your hands together, show some love